our second episode on Why Sportzworkz. It's only fitting that we have someone who can talk to us about everything that's happening in Tokyo with the Tokyo Olympics. India just about completed with their boxing campaign in the Olympics, and who better to have than a veteran in the boxing circuit. I've got Mr. Kishen Narsi with me. So thank you so much. It's a pleasure having you. And for those of you who are just tuning in, here's a little bit about Mr. Kishen Narsi and why I think it's important that we hear him out and understand what he has to say about Indian boxing and the Olympics in itself. He was an international referee and the vice chairman of the executive committee of the International Boxing Association, or AIBA as we know it. And Kishen sir, well, he's been at the big stage, not once, not twice, but many a times. And the few little pins that you see in the background are an indication of, well, the big stages that he's been to. He's been an official for boxing at the Asian Games in Bangkok in '78, in Delhi in '82. He's been a referee and a judge at the Olympics, the big stage, Los Angeles in '84, Seoul in '88, and Barcelona in '92. Needless to say, he's been at the Commonwealth Games, the Asian Games, and the World Boxing Championships as well. Was an international technical official by the AIBA for the London Games in 2012. Was also AIBA's best technical delegate of the year in 2009. He's currently the chairman of the competition commission in the Asian Boxing Federation. And for those of you who have interacted with Kishen sir, you will also know that it isn't just boxing that runs in his blood. He's an out-and-out sports fan. He was the the sports captain in college in St. Xavier's, Bombay. He also captained the boxing team for University of Mumbai. And as it turned out, he even appeared for Bombay Gymkhana in hockey as well. So that's just a little indication of all the little sports that he's played and how long he's been in the circuit. Kishen sir, it's a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for taking time out. I know this is a busy schedule for you. Appreciate you taking time out.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Navneeth.
Yeah. When was the last time someone ran through every event that you've been at?
Well, because of the changes that have happened at the international boxing, in the forum of the international boxing, every time there is a big tournament, they ask me to keep sending my bio data to them. And I find it extremely difficult to go back to as way back as 1976 at the Montreal Olympics that I've been there, and then go down the years, and then I got to keep on looking at all the various things. And they say, no, we don't want all that. We just want your last 15 years. I said, oh, well, okay. Then I'd go to Beijing, and then I'd go through the Olympics in London. And like I said, it's been a journey, but a pleasant journey, I can assure you.
Of course, it's been a pleasant journey. From what I understand, practically from the 1976 games, in some form or the other, you've been involved in pretty much every single games going forward. Talk to us about one particular memory that is the fondest for you. Was it the first time in the ring, or was it something in particular that happened, something that you cherish, that you will cherish for a long time?
Well, probably the highlight of my referee judging was definitely during at every Olympics it was, I was in the finals of every Olympics, whether it was Los Angeles, whether it was Seoul, whether it was Barcelona. And the big highlight really to me, and which stands out very much even today, is the finals that I did in Barcelona, where an Irish boxer called Michael Garut boxed a Cuban who was one of their hot favorites. And it was a tough bout to take care of, because Michael wanted to win at any cost, sort of a thing. And I had to give him a warning in the middle of the second round. And, the Cubans were getting a little excited because he was slowly getting the better of them. And when I raised the hand of Michael Garut, that was the first gold medal Ireland had ever won in boxing. And with my holding his hand, raising it up, he does a backwards somersault.
Wow.
And that made the newspapers of every Irish publication in England and in Ireland. And I had phone calls one after the other. Who's this monkey you got with you? I said, no, he's not a monkey. He's a gold medal winner. Well, that was, I mean, like I said, it was great to know that people were able to see something which generations later, my grandchildren look at me and say, Grandpa, you had a lot of hair, my friend.
You will be as part of Irish folklore for a long, long time.
Oh, let me tell you what happened. I was in holidaying in Dublin with my family, and we have some customers there, so I was combining holiday with work, and there was a boxing tournament going on. So the friend of mine who I would normally talk to in Ireland, he said, "Hey, why don't you come and watch some boxing today?" So I said, "Okay," and I excused myself from my wife. I said, "Listen, I need to, I'll catch up with old friends." And I went there, and after a bout, they asked me, "Mr. Narsi, can you come and give a medal away to the winner?" I said, "Sure." I mean, I went in, gave the medal. And after that, they were sort of saying, "And may we introduce you to Mr. Narsi? He is the gentleman who gave, the referee judge who gave our Michael Garud a warning in Barcelona." And I was sort of, "Are you serious? Do you want me to get out from here alive?" But I mean, they laughed it, and it was great fun. And well, these are some of the episodes that one really looks back to and says, well, boxing has certainly done a lot of good things for us. And as we get along, I guess the medals that boxing has won, including the one today by Lavlina.
As a veteran, as a senior member in the boxing space, I think you'll be very proud of the fact that India won 3 medals in the last 4 games in boxing. And that's something the country is proud of. And it's also coincidental that today's conversation is happening on the day Lavlina Borgohain wins a bronze medal for India in boxing. India sent a 9-member contingent, sir, to Tokyo. We come back with a bronze medal. Fantastic performance by Lavlina. The other boxers gave it their all as well. On the whole, this is the big stage. Every boxer, every athlete, they train day in and day out. They wake up every single day dreaming of that Olympic medal, right? You've been at enough events in different forms, like I said. How big is the Olympics, and your thoughts on India's performance at Tokyo this year?
Well, as you rightly put it, the Olympics is the pinnacle of anybody's career.
Yeah.
And it's not something which comes every 3 months, 6 months. You go to a tournament, you win a medal, you come back, or a world championship, it is every 2 years or so. You get an opportunity to go to the Olympics maybe once, twice. And as the years come by, it's becoming more and more difficult. Because earlier, it was the Olympic Committee of the country that selected the athletes who went to an Olympic. Now, with the number of restrictions that have come in terms of participation by way of numbers to each sports, and the number of disciplines which have been increasing by numbers, like you see in Tokyo today, there are certain events which, I mean, even dreamt would be a part of the Olympics. But that's the change that is taking place, and because of which the numbers are getting lesser and lesser. And more than that, the number of medals which are being distributed to each discipline are also being asked to be reduced. And as you know, it was only as late as the London Olympics in 2012 that women were allowed to enter the boxing ring as far as the Olympics was concerned. And this was done and is going to be done further, from what I understand, the IOC's plans. That they are wanting what we call gender parity. And this is going to come. We started with 3 weight categories in the women. And we had to reduce the men's accordingly from 12 to 10. At Tokyo, it's been further reduced from 10 to 8 for the men and 3 to 5 for the women. So it's this particular change which is taking place is reducing the number of boxers that go for per weight category to the Olympics. And hence, as you say, the pinnacle of one's sort of gusto to go and win a medal at the Olympics is because of that. Because competition is becoming tougher and tougher. And you got to cross a hurdle every time. Namely, you first win your national championships, you wish your Asian championships maybe, and you got a qualifying tournament for the Olympics. So there are quotas for each weight category. And you got to, and each confederation, that is each continent, has a particular quota. So you got to try and be in that particular quota. And the biggest issue is you cannot have more than one participant from each country. So, I mean, everybody is looking at that one spot to win, to get to the Olympics.
Less supply of medals, more boxers vying for those few spots, and that's why it becomes that much harder. And that's why we have to appreciate what these athletes put out every time. As a viewer from the outside, as a fan, it's easy for us to say, come on, you have to win a medal, and sometimes criticize if it doesn't go our way. But very rarely do we understand what goes behind in those 4 years, in the 5 years, in the build up to an Olympic Games. And
sure,
it's that much harder. Yeah,
sure is.
and your thoughts on India's performance? If I have to ask you honestly, putting you on the spot, sir, what were your expectations from this Indian contingent when they left to Tokyo?
Well, that was a tough one then. It's still a tough one. It was really a tough one for two reasons. Number one, you see, because of the COVID situation, a lot of countries could not send participants to the qualifying tournaments. The London qualifier for Europe, they had 2 days of boxing and they had to shut down the tournament. I was appointed to Argentina for the Americas Confederation qualifying tournament for Tokyo. That got cancelled. And then they had to go by what is known as rankings, which to an extent is difficult because every country does not participate in every tournament, which is necessarily a points gainer to be put on the ranking scale that you have. And because of this, as I said, the situations have become much, much tougher. But India was very lucky. Jordan, where the first qualifier for Asia and Oceania was held, 9 Indian boxers were qualified, where we had 5 men and 4 women. And there would have been a world qualifier after that, which was scheduled to be held in Paris, where the boxers who had not qualified, the 3 other weight categories, they could have gone and tried to win a quota place. But it didn't happen. They had to cancel it. And with 9 boxers, which, as I said, is a tremendous, it's almost 70% of the total quota which any country could get. India managed to get 9. And in London, we had 8. And we got a bronze medal. In Tokyo, we had 9. One was hoping we'd get 2. One from the women, where we had a very strong contender in Mary Kom, with her experience and with her sort of that spirit with which she's been boxing all these years, and 5 boxers from the men's side, in which Amit was the top seed in the ranking, and he'd been a bronze medalist at the World Championships in Russia. He qualified, in Jordan, and the expectations were extremely high. And I was hoping we'd get 2, one from the women and one from the men.
You spoke about Mary Kom. All of India knows what she's brought to this country. She will go down as one of India's greatest Olympians, and not just for the fact that she got us a medal, but for everything that she's done for the sport over all these years, the academy that she runs, etc. You've had a chance to interact with her at multiple points over the last several years. Talk to us a little bit about Mary Kom and what stands out about who she is as a person, and what we see in the boxing ring is probably just one aspect of Mary Kom. Tell us a little bit more about her.
See, Mary, as you know, she comes from Manipur. She's from Imphal. And, I was very lucky to see her box for the first time in the US, where at the first World Championship in Scranton, she picked up a medal. And I was surprised because here's a puny little Assamese girl, sort of a thing, a Northeastern girl, in the ring, moving about quite enthusiastically. And since women boxing had just started, the competition was also to a limited extent. But the enthusiasm with which she participated in every event and the way she trained, I mean, I've seen her at 4 or 5 championships, world championships, where she's won gold. Again, total dedication, fitness to the core, and commitment. How to get better with every event. And she's been a role model. And she was very lucky because very often they say God favors the person who really puts in his heart. And she'd been doing that for years. And when the opportunity came in London in 2012, there were only 3 weight categories. So she had to put on a little bit of extra weight because she was in a lower weight category. And to make the Olympic weight category, she had to put on a bit of extra pounds and, get into the right weight category, for which she again went through proper nutrition, proper weight training, medical advice, physios. I mean, and believe me, for a young lady who's already a mother with commitments to the family, and to be physically strong, at the age of 30 plus, it takes a lot of guts.
It takes a lot of She is a mother of 4 now. She's 38 years old. Mind you, a 38-year-old mother of 4 stepping into the boxing ring, putting herself on the line every single time she wears the gloves. She's more than just a boxer to the people in India. She's an inspirational in so many ways. And it's just wonderful to have someone like her represent the country and wear the tricolors. And I wanted to, as we continue talking about Mary Kom, talk to us about that final bout. It was unfortunate to see her reaction after the final bout, where she thought that she had won, only to find out, in fact, I think a couple of hours later, only to find out that she didn't win. And she was a little disappointed because she thought she did well in rounds 2 and rounds 3. And she was obviously candid with the media in expressing her disappointment with how it went. Talk to us a little bit about that. And is this something that happens often in boxing? Because it's obviously subjective and you're there, it's the consensus of the judges. What do you make of that entire episode?
Well, let me start at the beginning. For example, as far as Mary Kom is concerned, she's in a particular weight category where there were 26 boxers, which is the largest participation in any weight category for women at Tokyo. So she was going to have a little longish run before she came into the medal contentions. Number one. She started extremely well, in the sense, the first bout that she had, which was almost on the second day itself, where she went through quite reasonably well, though it was a 4-1 decision. The second bout which was there, I think I mean, this is what I can gather from what I could see her during the bout. She was a little slow in the first round because, you know, you tempo the bout depending upon your own fitness levels, on your perception as to the other boxer, as to, you know, whether she can last the full 3 rounds. And because of this little slow tentative start that she had in the first round, she was down in the scoring of 4 judges. There was 1 judge who gave it to her, but 4 judges gave it to her opponent. The second round, I mean, the coaches must have definitely have told her, Mary, you got to go out. And since the scores are shown after each round, the coach pick up the pace and go all out. That's what she did in the second round. She won the second round. What we call technically won the second round. 3 judges gave the round to her, but 2 judges gave the round to her opponent. The coaches must have told her, Mary, you won this round, but the third round is more important and you got to go all out. Again, fitness levels come in, age comes in, various things come in, but she started the bout, the third round, extremely well. There was a stage of time in between she was a little slowish, but at the end of the third round, 3 judges gave the bout to her, and 2 judges gave the bout to the other girl. Now, based on the fact that the coaches must have told her, wow, you won the third round too, she presumed probably that having won the 2 rounds, she's going to be the winner. But unfortunately, or the way things were in the scoring pattern, the other girl won the bout for the simple reason that there was the common judges were not there which were giving her the bout, I mean, second round and the third round. And because of which she lost that particular bout. It didn't strike her because, I mean, like I said, you're now focusing on the fact that, okay, they announced the winner and the other girl put up a hand and what have you, and this is why she presumed that she's okay, she's on the good side. And the coach also said, probably he was saying that she was recollecting the fact that you're winning, you know, and that's where it stopped. So, and I think many people do know the fact that she had a little bit of an issue with her uniform, where they made a change. It takes a little bit of adjustment, and she's too experienced a girl to have you worry about it. But the fact of the matter is, yes, it was a very, very close bout, but she lost it on a 3-2.
When you watch it, are you scoring as well?
To an extent, I look at the bout. I mean, to be very fair, you've got to watch it intensively.
Yeah.
And you're watching it on TV, you're not seeing all the blows that come through. You have an impression, but that impression isn't good enough when the bout is close. Because you're missing some of the blows, which, don't forget, you've got 5 judges sitting in the 4 corners of the ring. When you're watching a bout, you're watching it from one direction on television. So you are missing a few things, which could be blows which can add up to somebody else's score. And like I said, this is, I mean, it's like we don't have a video referral like you have in hockey, where the referee or the team can challenge a decision. and you go to a third umpire who looks at the TV replays and gives it back to you. This is there in badminton. This is there in soccer. This is there now in most sports. It's slowly coming in.
Yeah.
So it was rather unfortunate, but she'd taken it well initially, in the sense that she probably realized when she saw the scores that, hey, but I mean, one of her colleagues had the experience in the past of objecting, and she ran into a lot of trouble. So she did not push it any further, as far as I can see. Though she has mentioned, I mean, the press sometimes does say that she's going to take it further with the Tokyo Boxing Task Force and whatever, but it's not something which she will push it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
She's given it her best.
Someone else who is turning out to be an inspiration to everyone as we speak right now is Lavlina Borgohain. And, like we discussed, she won her bronze medal today. She went down, to be fair, to a much better opponent, a stronger opponent. She was beaten thoroughly today. She understands that, but she's young. She's 23 years of age. She will come back. Her time will come. And I'm looking at the news. Social media is going viral. We're talking about the biggest names in the business world, in the politics world, in the sports world, tweeting, messaging on Instagram, on Twitter, congratulating every one of the Indian athletes, and Lavlina, obviously, for her medal. I also saw some news about roads being laid in front of Lavlina's house. I'm not too sure how true that is, but it's just wonderful to see how the entire country comes behind, they come behind these athletes. Yes, it happens more when they win a medal, and we'd like it to happen more often than not. But it's wonderful to see everything that's coming her way. She deserves every bit of it. She's a young boxer, but she showed a lot of heart in that ring.
Yes, she sure did. She comes from a very humble background. And I mean, like I said, her moving from Muay Thai, which is the Thai boxing, into our amateur boxing, if we call it, was a tremendous asset to us, because her two sisters are still doing Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And it's very rarely that you find a girl, sorry, you find a girl who's 5'9" in height, with an average weight of 63 to 69, and very difficult to find a person who's got the heart, the commitment, the energy, and the support of coaches, the administrators in her state. And since there were championships held in Guwahati, where she was discovered and gave it all her best. I mean, it's sad, but I wish she had boxed as planned in the bronze medal match. She should have used a height to advantage. She should have remained at a distance, which she did so well in the earlier quarterfinal bout. And I think she got a little, she started strongly, but the other girl was a much stronger girl at the same age. They're both the same age.
Yeah.
And of course, the Turkish girl had the same experience, but has been a world medalist, gold medalist at many places. But I think she gave it all her best. And in the end, I think one mentally would go through this. And don't forget, she had 4 days after her quarterfinal win, where psychologically, your mind is doing nothing but thinking, what's going to happen after 4 days? How am I going to be prepared? Should I train more? Who should I listen to? I mean, am I satisfied with the bronze medal? Am I going to really work for the gold medal? What are my chances? She's a world champion. you need a lot of support at that time. And both the coaches who are there, the Italian coach, Mr. Rafal, and our Indian coach, Ali Kamar, they both must have really had tremendous inputs in keeping her motivated. But I mean, like I said, it was not to be, because the other girl was a much better boxer. And that warning that she picked up in the second round, and a count in also in between, must have mentally been a strong sort of feeling to her that, let me try anyway. I'm going to try better.
Yeah, she did look flustered because she was on the receiving end of a barrage of blows from, I think she's the reigning world champion, right? So tough luck. It was a tough game for Lavlina, but she showed a lot of grit, a lot of heart, a lot of determination. And that's why she's coming back home with a bronze medal. There's a handful of Indians who won an Olympic gold medal. And she can proudly say that she's one of them. Yeah. We spoke about her sisters and how they started off in Muay Thai. In fact, she started off as well. So it's a little story, a little fun fact for all our viewers. Lavlina and both her sisters, they all started off with Muay Thai. It's a form of kickboxing, which you've seen, I'm sure. Her sisters continued pursuing that when Lavlina made the switch to boxing. And how did she fall in love with boxing? It's a very tiny little interesting story. One day her dad brought home sweets for all of them. It was wrapped in a paper, coincidentally, which had the story about the great Muhammad Ali. And she happened to read that story. And as inspirational as Muhammad Ali is, she went on to considering Muhammad Ali as her role model. And that's what got her to start boxing. And what led from that particular thing is now someone who's standing on the Olympic podium with a bronze medal around her neck is a story that is inspirational in every sense. She comes from the most humble background, just like most of these athletes. And I think they deserve everything that's coming their way. So congratulations to Lavlina for winning that bronze medal. On the flip side, we've had a few tough results, sir. Amit Pangal, you mentioned, was world #1, was a favorite to, bag a medal. Pooja Rani advanced, she went ahead, but was unfortunate once again to go down to a much stronger boxer. Satish Kumar showed a lot of fight as well. Is there something else in the air in the Olympics that can bring out sometimes the best in you, but sometimes get you to be a little nervy as well? A little bit about the three of them. They did give it their all. Everyone does. But unfortunate to go down on the wrong side.
Well, again, as I said, you see, in the lighter weight categories, again, Amit is not technically in his weight category. He has to move up again. He's moved into the higher weight bracket that he was earlier not boxing under. But the fact of the matter is that he's one of those, again, extremely dedicated boys. I understand. I haven't been confirmed on this one yet. But again, in his weight category, too many bouts to be boxed before he even came into the medal round. 26 boxers again. And in those weight categories, the Asian countries, namely Japan, Vietnam, Thailand, India, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, they're all very strong in these weight categories, because they're physically all developed in the same manner. Add to that the fact that there was no sort of fallback to video recordings of the boxers that came in from America, or for that matter, I mean, most of them were sort of picked up by their ranking. So it was difficult for the coaches also to try and sort of work the system out with them, because they normally sit down, look at your strengths, look at the weaknesses of the other boxer, and thereby plan their particular strategy for a particular bout. Now, again, Amit had to save his energies for a little longer period, and he was boxing a boy who was a medalist from the American side of things, but was an unknown factor as far as visual visibility was there as far as the coaching side was concerned. And he's been like I said, he's been through a lot of training, extensive training. He boxed in Dubai. He was in Italy training. Again, one has a few feelings on some of these things that the time difference also affects, but he had enough time to recover. He probably was thinking that he'll save his energy for the stronger boys to come. And I mean, I had very high hopes on Amit, but after I see the performance in the quarterfinals and the semifinals of the boxers who are still there, it would have been a tough going. Because some of them, I mean, the Japanese boxer who is there, he is fit to the core. And with being in his own country, naturally, he's no time difference, nutrition not a problem, own coaches, families with you. Here our boxers go without their families for months together. Food, very often, nutrition, because you don't get the kind of food that you're used to. So these are little things which do affect the boxer. And maybe this is one of the reasons why Amit, maybe it could have been a small niggling injury which nobody knows. But on any given day, if Amit was fully 100% out to win, he would always win. So his losing was a great disappointment, not only to the Indian boxing fraternity, but to me personally, because I've always considered him to be one of our most hardworking boxers, and who's been training at the Army Sports Institute, which is another institution which has been tremendously helpful in keeping our boxers fit, well looked after, with complete information technology available, made available to the coaches and to the support staff. It's sad.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. Was one of India's brightest medal prospects, Amit Pangal, but he will come back to fight another day for sure. You've been in the sport for a long time. You've then stepped out as an administrator. You've been around the scene for a long time, not just for boxing, but you've been a part of Indian sport. If you had the magic wand, if we want to change the future of Indian sport and Olympics in general, and we believe that we can be the powerhouse, the superpower that we all know that we can be, what is it that we should be doing differently? Or if you had the magic wand, what is it that you would do? One or two things that you would do if you had the magic wand.
Well, I mean, I'll start with it's like an organization. I mean, if your top management is working in the right direction, you will always have a support team, and you'll have your team down the line committed, working together. And that's what counts. I mean, since you mentioned hockey, I'll say this. Who's the president of the International Hockey Federation today? Mr. Batra, an Indian.
Yeah.
It starts with that. Your leadership is there. And with that, you had championships in Bhubaneswar. You had leagues of participation by various countries into India.
Yeah.
This is the sort of pathway that comes in. You need good administrators. You need good coaches. You should pick up good coaches, both Indian, mainly for the women coaches. Try and garner your ex-boxers back into the boxing field. You need good referee judges. You need good technical officials. You need education to be communicated down to the boxer as to what is it that a referee judge is looking at when he's judging your bout. That is important for the boxer. Training facilities, good equipment. I mean, my magic wand is going a lot.
But I think you're referring to also more funding, right, for us to make all of this happen.
Yes, you know, like I said, at the end of the day, you need support. You need a good support team. Any boxer, like in a family, in an organization, it's the team.
Yeah.
You have a good medical backup. You have a good physio. You have a good technical support. You have an excellent coach who's like a father to you because you are away from home most of the time. You need a psychologist who can motivate you to think in a direction, not be let down by certain hiccups that come along the way. Support from organizations. At the end of the day, what does a youngster look forward to? Something by which he can support his family, his next generation of his family. And that is what exactly not only the administrator, but the sports authority, the Olympic body, the government, they should be looking at it not only for one sport.
Yeah.
Like any country, take Cuba. They concentrate on 4 or 5 sports only. Whether it's athletics, whether it's it's wrestling, whether it's boxing. Similarly, I wouldn't like to disregard cricket, but we are in the world class in cricket.
Yeah.
And what do we have? We have fantastic backup.
Yeah.
We have tournaments galore in the country. That's what we need for every sport.
Absolutely.
And you need, at the end of the day, you need a good team leader.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who's going to show you the way.
Yeah.
And he's the one who's going to keep the team together. And once the children and the family know that we have somebody who is going to look after us,
yeah, we can focus on our game and not
focus on our direction of efforts.
Yeah.
Whether it's not easy when somebody says after winning a medal, can I have my mobile back after 6 months?
Yeah.
This is the sacrifice. This is the commitment. This is what makes champions.
Absolutely.
And believe me, India has many, many champions in the making. As you saw it on the hockey fields, seen it in the boxing fields, in our wrestling teams, our badminton squads. We have the potential. And again, as I said, it's a question of channelizing them in the right direction, with the right support, and with the right recognition.
Yeah, absolutely. You spoke about sacrifices, it reminds me of Amit Pangal. I'm sure you know this better than anybody else, but his brother was a boxer, Ajay. And apparently they could not afford the training of 2 boxers in the family. And so one had to let go of boxing for the other. And Ajay saw the potential that Amit had in the boxing ring, and he decided to sacrifice his career for the future of his brother. And some people are destined to serve the country in some way or the other. Ajay went on to serve the country through the Indian Army, and today is living his dream through his brother Amit in the boxing ring, right? So almost every single athlete that is wearing that tricolor today who is in Tokyo has a story like this. They've given more than we can even imagine, and that's what makes this even more beautiful. And everything that's coming their way, they deserve every bit of it. So I want to say thank you so much for spending time with us and talking to us in so much detail. You raised the hand of an Irish boxer and started off their legacy in the boxing ring. someday I hope that someone lifts the hand of an Indian boxer and they get India's first individual gold medal in the boxing ring for sure.
I would say, aapke muh mein shakkar.
Absolutely. I want to say thank you so much, sir, for spending time with us. It was a pleasure talking to you. And I'm hoping that all the dreams and visions that you have for the Indian Boxing Committee and the campaign and the federation in itself, I'm hoping that every bit of that comes true as well.
I wish so too, because my prayers and wishes are always with my children, if I may use the word, and I have thousands of them all over this country, my boxers.
Yeah.
Good luck to them, and my prayers are always with them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine, sir. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good day.